Hey guys, it's Heather the Crochet Witch. So today I thought I would do excuse me. It's a great way to start the video. Today I thought I would do something a tiny bit different. Still crafting, making projects and all, but for those of you that don't know, even though my name here is the Crochet Witch, I started my yarny journey as a knitter. I thought when I was learning to knit that I was like the knit prodigy. Like, really, I thought I was amazing. I could knit anything. Yeah, I just thought I was like the bomb. I was not, as you'll see soon. But I did learn my knits and purls, and like I would still say I'm a beginner, um, just because I don't do it very often. I don't do it very fast, as you'll also see. But I do like to do it once in a while. I started out using, I don't even have a set of them handy to show you, but the kind of needles you can buy like at Walmart. Those were always the needles that I used. Well, actually, I started out with something like this. Okay, which has a project on it that I intend to show you. But they're just the regular boy aluminum or whatever metal needles that Walmart sells. I got an abundant collection of them between me and my grandma, because my grandma, she was alive when I started knitting, and she was like coherent and everything at that time. So she was like thrilled that I was doing stuff like that. She did yarn things too, but she did, if you're familiar with plastic canvas, that's what my grandma did. So like that's where I got my, ooh, I love this yarn kind of deal. But it was helping my grandma like prep yarn into yarn balls and stuff for plastic canvas. So it wasn't quite knitting or crocheting. But my grandma anyway supplied me with the tools for it. And as far as circulars, I just had the kind that Walmart also sells, which is like aluminum boy ones or Susan Bate ones or whatever. I don't remember which ones Walmart sold at the time. And they just have the long plastic cord, and they're all like the big, I still don't know all of my different like lengths and stuff for them, but I know they're a bigger size because I have some that are much shorter now. So like, yeah. And I had double pointed needles, which I'm happy that I learned those from the start pretty much. I actually preferred them instead of circulars to make things when I was making like hats and things like that. Or like I thought I was making hats. I'm not sure if I ever finished anything back then because I ended up not being thrilled with it. But I'm happy that I learned DPNs, because like I hear new knitters now talking and they're like intimidated by DPNs, or like they just don't want to do it, or they find them, a few of them find them hard. And like I found them easy, so I feel like I'm pretty lucky, I guess, there. But I have upgraded. If you didn't see the things that my husband got me for Christmas, this was my main like Christmas gift. But he got me a set of Chigoos, which are, this is interchangeable. I'm sure there's other Chigoos that are not. They're just one solid piece, but these babies are interchangeable. You can see I'm actually using one of them right now. Are there two missing? No, just one. I'm using this one right here, but they have small tips and they have big tips. They come in sets. This particular, it's a little zippy thing. This particular collection also came with different size cords, which I'm using one of right now. I think there's 6 different size cords. There's 3 for the bigger sets of needles that have these like bigger heads on them. And then there's 3 for the smaller sets of needles, which is one, I'm using one of these, but they have smaller heads on them. And then it came with like these fancy like psychedelic stitch markers, which I thought were pretty cool. It came with, oh, there's all these like doodads that do different, like one of this pin here tightens up your needles. These things, I believe, go on the end of your work to either save your work or make it like basically more like straight needles, so you have a bottom and a top part. So all these little fancy doodads came with it. And then I'll show you the project. I don't know, I have 2 knitting projects on the go right now, and I just kind of thought I would not per se do a whole podcast about knitting, but show you what I'm like working on, because these are like so long-term things. These are things I just pick up, like if I finish a crochet project, I'm like, I'll put a few rows on this, you know, and then I'll work on that. My most accomplished one, if I can find the picture, I will put it here, but my most accomplished knit project is I did a Doctor Who scarf for my friend Jamie. That's by the pattern. Like I used the same needles, the very small, I think they're like size 3 needles. I used the right stitch, which was all garter stitch. I matched all the colors and did all the exact rows that they said to do. I was very, very proud of this scarf, but it is gone. It is in Jamie's home, so I do not have it to show off. Like I said, if I find pictures, I will put them in here, but I was pretty happy with that. Now, what I started working on long time ago, is, see if I have any separate ones, because I had picked this back up and I started doing, you know me and blankets, guys. So I started knitting these squares, which might be, I don't know if it's harder to see that. Maybe it'll be easier in like a, like they're marled kind of looking. Can you see that? I just did, this is like garter stitch down here. Garter stitch. Wow. I always call them regular knit stitch and then fancy stitch. My sister is yelling through the camera right now to tell me which knit. I already know she is. My sister knits, by the way. Like, we learned around the same time, but like when I branched off into crochet, she knits. Why am I brain farting so bad? Garter stitch is, you can tell I'm really new about this, right? Garter stitch is definitely what is right here. And then, oh my gosh, I know you guys are all yelling at me what this is. I'm gonna put it on the bottom of the thing, because by the time I'm done with this, I will have thought of what this is called. Pearl, knit, pearl, pearl makes, wow. Wow. Anyway, the stuff that curls up. Why can't I think of it right now? It's so irritating. It's all in this middle square, anyway, is that. And then this is, like, I did ribbing here and around here of the garter stitch. And I made a bunch of these squares because this is yarn that I found in Hobby Lobby. Before I knew they did Hobby Lobby clearance, I happened across these when they were clearancing them out. They are called Icelandic jewels. Like, here's a full skein of what I just showed you in that orangey square, but they have these really beautiful jewelly toned ribbons running through them, and the yarn itself is rather fuzzy. Let me see. I never even back in the day looked at like the yarn content of it. Is it going to show me? Maybe that's why I didn't. This is called Dark Citrine. Made in China. The copyright on this is 2004. Oh wow, I didn't expect this yarn content actually. This is 79% acrylic, 16% nylon, and 5% polyester. So I thought there might actually be some wool in here, to be honest with you. Like, it's not rough, but just like that halo on it is really, I love this yarn. And it came in several colors, as you'll see, because I'll show you the squares. Like, I did show you this one already in the dark citrine. I don't know the names for all the colors either, because I don't have ones with ball bands on for most of them, I don't think. I have this beautiful blue one, and that is Sapphire. I think these are probably all named after jewels, would be my guess. Yeah, I don't have any other ball bands with me right now. But this one is Sapphire. This one is this really pretty green, which I'm betting is emerald, but I don't know that for a fact. And then I have red. So I have all of these colors, and it came in one other color, which was like a black, marled black grayish one with jewel tone ribbon in it also. But I'm gonna show you what I did with that. So first of all, let me just say, the last time I picked this up, I added all these extra squares, so I was pretty proud of myself. I think this was like last year. Now what I started doing, and I don't know why it struck me to do this, and it does leave me with a lot of ends to sew in later, but what I started doing, because, okay, here is the black, and you can hardly see it. I'll see if I have a full ball of it in here. But I started making little X's instead of joining them in any certain way, or like just sewing them so that you didn't see the join. I like the idea of having like almost like a voodoo doll seam kind of patchworky. So that's the way I've done my join. And I'm working on, I guess I was working on making like a whole row of squares for the outside to grow it before I sewed them all together again. Because if I were smarter about it, I would just do full rows and have less ends to sew in. I wasn't when I started it, because as you can see, all these ends. But I will get that done, because I really love the idea of finally having like a blanket that I knit, you know. Let me see if I can find the black. Yep, no ball band like I predicted, but see, this is what I mean by the black. It's like a black gray marl with like the rainbowy jewel tony ribbon running through it. So that's what I'm putting it together with. And like before there was ever the Sesame Street yarns with the little toppers, I called this my Muppet yarn. I don't know why, but I do know why. They reminded me of Sesame Street. Like this, I always called this like my count yarn, like for count. This is my Oscar the Grouch. This was my Grover. This was my Elmo. I love Elmo. He's my favorite. And this was my Big Bird. So I had always intended on like getting patches of them and putting them in several of the squares or something. Like I could use the toppers, but I kind of have a blanket in mind with the toppers on the squares or around the edge of it. So we'll see about that. I don't know. But either way, this is what, like, if you ever hear me talk about my Muppet blanket, this is probably it. So that was like, this is a very old project. In fact, oh yeah, that's why I mentioned that this was my Muppet blanket. This is in my Muppet bag. That my sister got me this so long ago. But like Animal is also my favorite. I love Animal and I love Elmo. And like Animal is the Muppet and Elmo is the Sesame Street, you know, favorites. But it's hard to pick a favorite. Like I seriously, like some people are totally addicted to like Disney. I'm totally addicted to like Sesame Street. Like I have Elmos that I collect. I have a couple of animal dolls, like one of them's with his drumsticks and stuff. I love the Muppets. Big fan. So it's getting too much to pack into this little bag, honestly, but I love this bag and I want to keep going with it. So I'll tuck it in later. You guys don't need to watch me put my stuff away. But that is like my old project where I only really knew knit purl. I still only know knit purl. I don't know why I tried to make it sound like I don't. And then I decided this year to use my Chai Goose and do a Christmas cast on because it made me feel very fancy. And I started, if you're familiar with the sock head hat pattern, I started that. in this Lion brand mani pedi. It's a really pretty, like, in some spots it's almost stonewash looking. It's just called Crew, like Crew is the name. I thought it would be rainbow or I don't know, but I mean, it's sock yarn, so I guess that makes sense. But I'm supposed to knit, according to the pattern, I think it's 4 inches of this ribbing. So I'm about 2 inches in, and like I said, I really only work on this in between some projects. I think I'm going to get a lot. Stockinette! Stockinette's the name of the stitch that I was trying to think of earlier. Oh my gosh. I think when I get to the stockinette, it's going to go a lot faster than the ribbing. Right now it's like I think it's a 2x2 ribbing. So, but it makes this really gorgeous pattern. I love it. I have made some hats more recently that I've completed. I made Ross hats. So that's probably another knitter. If Ross is watching, he's probably like, sorry, Ross. But I finished your hats. Anyway, but yeah, I just thought today I would show you like my knitting projects that I like to kind of try to work on once in a while. I finished a cowl in the purple version of these Icelandic jewels a while ago because when I thought I was a knitting protege, I was starting to make this long scarf, and I had made my own design through it, like with crisscrosses and stuff, just in garter and stockinette stitch and all. But I found it when I found my Muppet bag recently that had also been tucked in it, and I found it and I was like, you know what, this is just gonna be a finished cowl. I'm done with this one, and I just bound it off or whatever and sewed it together. And I still have the cowl. It's a really nice cowl. I like it. It's warm. But anywho, probably enough rambling about knitting from somebody who's very novice-y at knitting anyway. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Do you guys knit? You should let me know. If you do, what are you working on? And how advanced of a knitter are you? I'm very interested to know that. I like my crafty friends. I like to know like what you guys are up to anyway and stuff. I'm nosy basically, but I like to know like what you like to do, and like if you knit, maybe you'll be interested in seeing some things that I may eventually complete. I don't know. But I've definitely rambled on long enough. So if you are new to the channel, first of all, welcome. If you have not yet, please hit subscribe down below and click your notifications bell, because I do a lot of crochet. I do crochet tutorials. I should have one uploading right now, actually. I release patterns. I do shopping trips and yarn hauls, and I do a podcast at least bi-weekly, sometimes weekly. We dye yarn occasionally. We do lots of fun stuff on here. So hopefully you will stick around and join us. And until then, I will talk to you guys later. I love you guys. Bye.